What is up, YouTube? Zuki M1 here, and I am back with a brand new YouTube video. Today I am bringing you guys a story time with Zuki about my mom. So, as I told you guys before, I was going to do a story time about my mom. So, this one is this one's going to be a little bit of a tough one to talk about, only due to the relationship that is my mom and me. So it's going to be a little bit on the longer side, but if you guys are really interested in listening, the floor is there. But just giving you guys fair warning that this is a little bit of a longer video. So um, as you guys already should know from like my story time with my dad video, my mom and my dad had met when they were younger. They had had a little too much fun, and then boom, I came into the picture, right? When I initially was born, my mom was my initial caretaker, actually, because of how the court system works. Your mother is your initial custody owner when you're born and the parents aren't together, right? So my mother was my original caretaker. These are in my adolescent years, so I didn't know too much of anything. I found these stories out from like other relatives and stuff like that. But my mom was the initial caretaker, and I had lived with her up until I was like 3, maybe 4, right? So for my so so it was like 4 years of my younger years with my mom and stuff like that. Obviously, I wouldn't remember any of that stuff today. I wouldn't remember any of that stuff. So my mother had lost custody of me and all of my sisters because our house got raided uh, for drug related stuff. So our house got raided. The police came, and when they came, they saw a whole bunch of little kids answering the doors. So, needless to say, all of us was we were all taken away. I mean, because that is unsuitable for a parent to bring kids up into a drug environment, right? So we were all taken away, and when we were taken away, they were going to put me into the orphanage system, but my father stepped up and said, "Hey, you know, I'm the father. I don't have anything against me. Let me be the father for my son." So the court system gave him custody over me, and for the next 2 years, I had lived with my father. Um, and as you guys know, it would have been longer, but my father died in a burning building, saving my life and saving his roommate's life. But in the process, I lost one of my greatest heroes and biggest role models. Um, so after my father passed away, I spent my younger years living with my grandmother and my grandfather. I lived with them for the next 2 years, so I was 7 and 8. So when I was 7 and 8, I had lived with them. I went to elementary school with so I was 6, 7, 8. So I lived with them while I was so I went to preschool and elementary school and stuff like that or whatever with them or whatever. No, sorry, not preschool. First grade, second grade with my grandparents. So I said that wrong in the video from yesterday, but it's fine. But yeah, so I went to preschool. I went to high school, first and second grade with them, but I wasn't able to stay because my grandparents couldn't allow me to stay there because they were in a retirement home, and a retirement home doesn't allow like after I get a certain age, they couldn't take care of me type of thing. So they had to give me back. So they went to the court system, signed over some paperwork, got my mother to be the custody owner of me again. They gave custody over to my mother, and then I became her problem to deal with again. So um, the next 8 years of my life, I lived with my mother. When I was younger, I used to try to spend time with my moms. I used to try to be under my moms. I used to try to talk to her. Used to try to, just try to be glued up under my mom because that's what I wanted to do when I was younger, right? But slowly but surely, I started to lose more and more taste for wanting to do that. Um, the very first time that I had lost interest in wanting to be around my mother was when I was younger and I was getting harassed by these girls across the street. They were calling me fat and they was calling me ugly and they called me smelly and shit like that or whatever. And my mom's, instead of saying, trying to stick up for me or trying to say, hey, forget them or whatever, blah blah blah. Any anything that I was looking anything that I was looking forward to trying to hear, she just she didn't say it for me, and so I was sitting there just puzzled because she didn't say what I needed her to say. She wasn't there for me, and I felt alone, right? So after after I had that feeling of being alone, being isolated, not having anybody there, I ended up trying to find her love by any means necessary, right? So I'm in third or fourth grade at this time, and I decided to fail one of my grades in elementary school just to try to see if I do something dramatic, if I do something irrational, something that's against my characteristics, would she step up to be the mother that I'm looking for? Would she be responsible for me? Would she love me? And that wasn't the case. She let me down. I was hoping the reaction I was hoping for, the attention I was begging to get. Um, I just didn't get it, and I was I was just really sad that it didn't happen that way. And I realized that she told me I can say one thing about my mother. She gave me the best advice I ever had in my life. Because remember how I told you guys in the video from yesterday that I thought life was nice and full of rainbows and sunshines and happiness and all this other type of stuff, and people were nice to each other. She told me, and this is something I hold to this day. She told me that life is not nice. Life is not sweet. Life is not full of rainbows and sunshines and happiness. It's a very mean and cold place, and it will chew you up and spit you out if you're defenseless to stop it. So if you want to be anything in this life, you got to go out there and go get it, because otherwise nobody's going to give it to you. And when she told me that, it didn't it didn't register at first, but I learned. I learned very fast what she meant, and I matured. Right, I I didn't need her approval anymore. I didn't need her to tell me what to do, what not to do. I didn't need that stuff anymore. I moved past it, and I was going to keep moving past it. I was going to keep growing. I was going to keep improving. I was going to keep doing what I do best, and that was to be me and be comfortable with myself. So she was I was a freshman in high school at the time, and I just finished my first year of high school. I was really mad at my family. Right, I didn't want anything to do with them. I told them to stop smoking weed. They didn't want to stop smoking weed. I told them, let's try to be a family. We continue to sell drugs and continue to live in a very negative lifestyle. And I just kept asking for stuff that I wasn't able to get, right? And all I wanted was simple things, right? I wasn't asking for like brand new game systems or new clothes or any of that stuff. She would have been happy if I actually would have asked for stuff like that, but I didn't. I asked for stuff that adults would ask for. Like a happy family and a place to lay my head at night without having to worry about if I'm gonna be safe or not, or if the police are gonna raid in our spot. Like, imagine telling your 8-year-old sister that go to sleep with one eye open because you never know when the police are coming, and that the kids are scared to even invite their friends over because they're afraid that they might get raided in front of their friends, and they go home and they go to school the next day and tell everybody about it. It was rough, and it didn't get any easier when I finished my freshman year of high school. She told me that, hey, we're gonna move from Chicago, and at this point in time in my life, my high school years, I was as happy as can possibly be. Like there was, I was so happy with life at this one point in time in my life. I finally found people that understood me. I finally found friends. I was just really, really happy with life, and I had never experienced this type of euphoric feeling before, and I was so happy, and she snatched it away from me. And I don't know if she did that on purpose or if she did it because she just wanted to try to start over, but I lost it. All of it. All my friends. All of them. They were gone. And I didn't get a chance to get those 4 years of high school that I wanted. I didn't get a chance to do any of that stuff. When we moved to Indiana, I was held back from school for 3 months. It wasn't because of me. My mother refused to go register me for class. I begged and pleaded. I begged and pleaded. Mom registered me for school. 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 Because I'm literally sitting in the house, rotting my brains, doing absolutely nothing. Imagine sitting in a house doing nothing for 6 to 8 hours a day. Absolutely nothing. And this is before before I had money to go like buy my own computers or anything like that, so I could become like a streamer or a YouTuber, right? Because I would have devoted my effort into that. I had nothing, nothing. So I'm just sitting there wasting away, just literally thinking to myself like, why am I in this situation? What have I done wrong for me to be in this type of lifestyle? I didn't do anything to anyone. I was born into this. So why is it fair that I have to be into this type of situation? But no matter how hard I prayed or begged or asked for, some type of sign or permission or something to help me, nothing ever did. And eventually one day, she registered me for class. I was like, yes. Apparently the police department had noticed that I wasn't registered for school, and the state of Indiana has a really strict policy on that type of stuff. So they got on her about it. So she registered me, and I was in school finally, right? So I finally got into school. I didn't have any friends because everybody who was already friends had made friends at the beginning of the year, and also because a lot of the people who was in that school system have been friends with each other since they were in kindergarten. Because the way that the Indiana school system work is that you go to elementary school together, and then you just go across the street to the to the middle school, and then you go across the street to the freshman and sophomore building, and then you go over to the junior and senior building. So because no, there was just a freshman building, and then there was sophomore, junior, and senior building. So I was in the sophomore building, and when I was in the sophomore building, I had to catch up on 3 months worth of schoolwork. 3 months. I caught up. I had A's in all my classes. Teachers were stunned. Right, they couldn't believe the amount of work ethic that I put into catching up. Right, because all my life I had always been just a bookworm. Like I was always nose pressed to the books, working my ass off to prove to everybody that I'm not what everybody else think I am. I'm a hardworking individual. I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to push myself further than what other people thought I was capable of. And I got A's in all my classes, and all my teachers were very impressed with my work ethic. There was only one class that had refused to give me a passable grade because she said that I was supposed to do more and I was supposed to do something else. I don't know, but I didn't. I just said send me down to basic English because she had me. I was in advanced English, like English 101, when I was a sophomore in high school, but apparently I didn't catch up on class fast enough for her. So she just said that it'd probably be better if I just send you into regular English. So I went back to regular English, whatever, right? I got an A in that class. So I was doing really, really well. I was happy about everything turning around. It was a week right before they submit your grades. So right before they submit your grades for the semester and you get your grades put in, my mother hit me with the news. Herbert, we're not going to be able to live in Indiana. And I told her, before we even moved to Indiana, I told her that we are not going to be able to afford to live in Indiana. This is literally the worst decision you could be making. And 4 months later, she tells me that we can't live here. We gotta move. I cannot tell you how much frustration and anger I have felt in that point in my life. I wanted to strike my mother right there. Never in my life have I ever wanted to lay hands on my mother, but at that point in time, I was right there. Because I told her, I begged her not to do this. And she did it anyway. And then when she did do it, she expected me to be fine with this. She expected me to be okay with this. Like I wasn't out here putting my nose to the books, grinding, trying to make something of myself, trying to be more than what the society was trying to put me in. I worked my fucking ass off trying to get myself into a situation where I can be really, really good with life. And she, it just seems like everything that I did, she was out to sabotage me. Because once we moved back to Chicago, great news, everyone. They tell me that I can't get my credits that I had earned, that I worked so hard to get, because I didn't finish the semester. I had one more week to finish my semester. One more week. That's it. Just one. Just one. If I would have finished that semester, I would have had all my credits, and I would have been able to transfer back into high school back in Chicago and would have been fine. But no, I didn't have any credits. So guess what? They had to tell me that I had to repeat the entire year all over again. I would have been a sophomore once again. And she was like, "Oh, well, you did that in the fourth grade before, so what would be the issue here?" I was so angry. I was so angry. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I was just, I was so lost. Never in my life had I ever been so angry in my life. Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know what I could say or do. My life seemed meaningless at this point in time. Everything that I did just kept getting worse. So I decided I'm gonna go for my GED. I'm gonna do this for myself, right? So I leave my mother's house. I go move in with my uncle, and my uncle was a pretty nice guy or whatever, but he wanted the money that my mother was collecting from my father's life insurance, because my father had life insurance that she was collecting every single month. I didn't even know about that until my uncle had told me about it. So she was collecting life insurance from me, and I never saw a dollar of it. But whatever, right? I didn't care. She was collecting life insurance, and she was using it for herself, whatever. And so he was asking me for the money, seeing how he was taking care of me, and I said, okay, that makes sense. So I asked her for it, and she said she don't have it. So I told my uncle, and he was like, well, I don't know what you're supposed to do. I mean, I need money because you're taking food away from my family, right? And he has 7 boys. I had 7 male cousins, and they had a daughter as well. So 7 male cousins and a daughter, a wife, and a husband. That's 10 mouths to feed, and I'm one more additional mouth to feed. On top of that, they had pets, so they had 2 dogs. So yeah, I was an additional mouth to feed, and I was an additional burden that they took on. So I'm not even mad at them for telling me that I had to leave. So I left. I obviously I'm only 15, 16 at the time, so I don't have anywhere else to go. So I got to go back to my mother. I mean, that's the only place I could go. Where else can I go, right? So I go back to my mother, and I tell her, hey, my it's that time of the year when I had to take my GED. Can you help me pay for the test? It's only $50. The program that I'm in is going to cover all the rest of the costs. All you got to do is pay the $50, and I can take the test. And she tells me, Herbert, I don't have it. How? How do you not have it? I told you weeks and weeks ago before that I was going to take this test, and you said you were going to have it. This is the only thing this is the only thing I ever needed you to come through for. How do you not have it? She tells me she don't have it. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I was just angry. Oh, I was so angry. Because again, at another point in my life, I was helpless. I couldn't do anything. Now, I know a lot of you guys might be thinking to yourself, like, well, you can, it's your mother, you're supposed to cut her some slack. Maybe she was trying, maybe she was doing stuff. I can tell you right now, I had lived with my mother for almost 18 years. The only effort she ever put into anything was how to try to find some way to get high. She has never, ever, ever put forth any effort into being a parent. Not to my sisters, not to myself. And I didn't personally care anymore. I moved myself from that situation. I'm fine now. My life is perfect. I am in control of my own life. I make good money. I live on my own. I take care of myself. I'm able to buy my own groceries, take care of myself, go on trips. I'm able to do these things now. I'm not a helpless kid anymore. I took control over my life. I'm no longer a victim of my mother. But the problem is that my mother is taking care of my younger sisters, and they don't see themselves as being victims or being helpless or defenseless. They are being manipulated by my mother, and now they are just not who they should be. They're all beautiful women that has nothing but life and potential inside of them, but they don't see it, and they keep themselves from being able to get to that point, and it's so sad to see because I want to be able to be there. I want to be able to help them. I want to help them see that potential, but they don't see it in themselves. But um, you know, I guess now I have a stable relationship with my mother. I talk to her every now and again. We are on speaking terms, right? I check in with her. I talk to her. I try to see how she's doing. Because regardless of the situation, I still appreciate the fact that she brought me into this world, right? She didn't have to do that. Granted, she probably used me to get money for having a child in this world, but regardless of the fact, I'm here. And I'm able to continue to grow and contribute to society. And I'm able to do this types of story times with you guys. So regardless, she is still my mother, and I still love her, regardless of the past that we have with each other. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. But this has been Zukim1, and I hope you guys have a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, and great night. But I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.